I don't do the most, but I do a lot. I'ma make a toast, cause we still alive. No big, I feel like Pac. I shoot a shot. Coming in hot.
Hey fam, welcome back to another episode of Upshift. It's your boy Skip. I'm here at Gillette Stadium with my man T Price and his A5 2019 3-liter twin screw turbo. Let me tell you people, it's a beast. This episode is coming at you. Woo, keep up, coming in hot.
They got the iron while I got the steamer.
Hey Terry, welcome to the show, brother. Oh my goodness, good to see you again. How's everything?
Everything is wonderful, thank you.
That's awesome, man. When you told me, so first family, this is a collector. This is just one of many vehicles that Terry has, and I believe this is a sleeper. Right? He's got a blue GT 350,
Shelby GT 350R.
and it's got a beautiful grabber blue paint job on it. It's really something to look at. When it comes to this Audi A5 twin screw turbo, 3-liter, how many horsepower?
450.
Oh, you see, you look at it, you might just walk by it. But there's so many things that is awesome about this vehicle. I just had to have it on the show. So thanks, Terry, for coming out. I know it's a little cold out here.
A little cold.
We're filming in December, people. Come on. So kind of tell me a little bit more about the vehicle. I love the fact that it's got the homage to Le Mans and the Gulf. So let's start there.
Yeah, so you know what? It's a 2019 S5. It's a quattro all-wheel drive, 3-liter. It's a twin screw turbo, so it's basically two turbos in one housing. Very fast. It's got an APR Stage 3 tune on it, which produces 453 horsepower, so it's a pretty fast car. The white was a little plain for me, and I really liked the late 60s Le Mans cars, so I designed the stripes as a tribute to the late 60s Le Mans. I think it was just enough to make the car pop, and not really overboard.
Yeah, I think what you did was an absolute perfect addition to an otherwise understated, elegant car as it is, right? So there's something about the Audi lines that is just sporty at the same time as that it speaks to the luxury of the line as well. But when you put the Le Mans color on it, it brings it to a whole nother level. It really does.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, and so you were talking about Stage 3. So this isn't your I'm going to go to the grocery store kind of car. You've been to the track.
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
If you've ever driven an all-wheel drive car on the track, they are phenomenal.
Okay.
They tend to squat when you go into the corners. They give you a sense of confidence, and you can tend to drive them more aggressively out of the corner than, say, a traditional rear-wheel drive car or even a mid-engine car.
So I'm a mid-engine guy, as you know.
Yes.
And you've driven with me on the track.
I
And
have.
so you know my car squats.
Yes.
But you're telling me that this guy gets down a little bit deeper
Yes.
so that you can accelerate before you get to the apex of the turn?
You can, a little bit before the apex of the corner, you
Okay.
can start to accelerate with an all-wheel drive car, and it's just I can't explain it, but the car starts to almost pull down as you accelerate at the apex of the corner. I can't explain the.
I'm not interested in the physics.
The physics. That's the word. I can't explain the physics, but you actually feel the car start to squat and go into the corner, and actually, just gives you a sense of confidence that you can really start to accelerate a little sooner, and bring more speed out of the apex.
Well, you owe me a shotgun ride on the track, so
Absolutely.
I want to feel what that feels like before the apex coming out, knowing that you're speeding up and you can get into your straightaway a little bit quicker than you could perhaps in my vehicle. So
Sure.
certainly appreciate that. I see you got big brakes on here, so you got power. You need big power to stop it. Love the way that it accents with the wheels. Audi really did a good job with this line right here.
Yeah, they really did. And the amazing thing about the European cars is that compared to American cars, they generally run a smaller tire. The braking is a little bit smaller. They're just, I think they're more, they're well balanced cars. And you know, the performance of the vehicle is I think is better matched. Meaning the power is matched to the chassis is matched to the suspension is matched to the tires. They're just well balanced automobiles.
Yeah, no argument there. You mentioned the Stage 3 APR. You do have an augmented exhaust as well?
I do. So this is a full catback. Actually, it's a downpipe to the back, stainless steel free-flow exhaust system.
Now, is that German inspired?
It is. It's a KBR, and I had to look it up, and it was all in German. I didn't actually put it on the car. When I purchased it, it was already on the car. There was some things that were done to it prior to me purchasing it. That was one of them. So yeah, it's a very expensive German exhaust system.
Well, money well spent. I will tell you that, because getting this car up to speed and hearing that exhaust kick in, it's got really, really nice tones.
Yeah.
Not loud, but distinctive.
It's got a really nice sound, and it's when you're in the car, you can still have a conversation,
which is important, right?
Yeah,
it's like, because you're on a track, everything's like, you want to, like, hey, honey, I'm about to take this turn. It's just like, watch me accelerate through the apex. Like, no, not necessarily, but when you're not tracking a car, you don't want to have that drone. I know what you're talking about.
Well, there are some cars my wife doesn't like to drive in, like my GTOs, because she's like, they're too loud. So, you know.
Not a GTO, a little bit more refined.
Yeah.
And so with German engineering, you're going to find things a little bit more precise than American muscle.
This is her favorite car.
I'm sure for a lot of reasons. Probably the sound is the most important, right? Because all your other cars are loud.
Well, this also has massaging seats. I think that's her favorite feature of this.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because long days at track, for those that you don't know, it does wear your back. So if you have massaging chairs as you're going around your chicane, it's probably a good thing. I don't have that on my Corvette, so I'm a little jealous. Is that an aftermarket thing? Can I just put that on my Corvette?
I don't know. It's standard on this.
It's standard on German engineering. Awesome. Okay. What is your favorite feature of this car?
Since I'm a manual shifting guy, the paddle shifting on this car is precise. And also, although this is an automatic, most people don't know this, that's actually a manual transmission that's shifted hydraulically. So when you hear the shift, it sounds like a manual shift because it really is.
A beautiful thing.
Yeah. It is. So that's my favorite feature, that this is an automatic, but really it's a manual transmission.
Spoken like a true car guy.
Yeah.
Like, didn't say anything about the instrument panel, which, if it was my wife, it's like, oh, it's got to be digital. It's got to be.
Or the leather seat.
The leather seat. Yeah, no. It's just like how it drives. Automatic, manual, just the entire shifting mechanism, the sound of it. Spoken like a driver. What can I say? It takes one to know. Hey, can we take a ride?
Sure.
All right. Awesome. Let's go.
I'm coming in. Coming in.
You have your S5. You have your Shelby GT. You have your Pontiac collection. But where did it all start?
My uncle was a wheel stander, and he would take me to the track. And my first love has always been drag racing.
Okay.
So when I was younger, I had Camaros, I had GTOs.
Oh, no, wait a minute. Whoa. Wheel stander. What is that? Just so that the family can understand. Like.
So you understand quarter milers.
Yeah.
A wheel stander is basically a quarter miler, but doing it on the rear wheels. So
wheel stander.
right out of the hole, you go up onto your rear wheels and you do the quarter mile on your rear wheels. And back then, that was pretty scary because
how do you see?
There was a hole in the floor, and you had handbrakes on the steering wheel, and that's how you controlled the rear wheels of the car. And it was, and you're going as fast as a quarter mile car go. You're going over 100 miles an hour on the rear wheels.
Very interesting.
And my
did
father,
a little research. I know that there was a guy that used to do that in a school bus.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. They don't. There's a few of them that still do it, but back in the '60s, there were about 8 to 10 cars, very well known.
Yeah.
That did it. I'd like to see it come back.
Now, was your grandfather like one of those top 10 guys?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he was well known. It was called the Super Hemi Bug. I've been trying to look for it. There were 3 variations of it from the 60s to the early 70s. One of them was crashed. I don't think they ever rebuilt it. I would love to find that. And then my father was the other one who gave me the love of muscle cars. There was nobody who could power shift a 4-speed better than he could. As little kids, I remember him, power shifting, and then I'd be like, can you teach me how to do that? And, can I help you shift? And that's where I got the love of cars. And then over the years, I just fell in love with all sorts of motorsports. So it wasn't just drag racing. It was, road racing. It was Le Mans. And the collection of cars that I have today, range from muscle cars to track cars to, the gamut.
When people say it's in my blood, it's in your blood.
It's in my blood.
It's in your blood.
Yeah, I love the mechanics of cars. I love the technology of cars. I've been a student of cars. I love to be educated about the technology. I like to do work on cars. I mean, it's a passion of mine. I ask my wife. She'll tell, if I'm at a party and cars come up,
it's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's a done deal.
I'll talk for hours.
You're not ever going to get back to the other conversation that's going to go on. You're a driver's driver. You're the total package. You're not just a guy that just picked up a fancy car at a showroom and you understand what the brochure has to say. You're a guy that knows.
Certainly, there are drivers out there that know more than I do, but I continually learn. When I drive a car, I can tell what the suspension is doing. I can tell what the motor is doing. I can relay that to a mechanic. I can appreciate how the car was built. I can appreciate what it was designed for. So, yes, I have a knowledge of that.
It's refreshing to have a conversation with someone who is, a subject matter expert per se. I have to admit, you taught me a thing or two with the twin screw.
Right. Yeah.
It's like twin screws for me mean it's a twin screw destroyer.
Well,
from my military background, but having the conversation with you and doing a little bit of research on the difference between a single housing and a double housing turbos is something that I didn't know. So I appreciate that education.
I think you have to understand what a car was designed for. When I was talking about earlier about, operating what I did to this car, I wanted to do within the design of its capabilities, not outside of it, is what I believe in. You build a car based on what you're going to use it for, and then how you drive it, and on the track you keep it within its capabilities, right? And that's what I'm kind of talking about, like when you set your suspension. Well, when I go to the track, I set my suspension for a particular track or for a particular, what I'm trying to accomplish that day.
Yeah.
And so you have to kind of know some of the mechanics of the car. You got to understand how a car is set up. And then I think where most people get into trouble is not understanding that, or not driving the car based on what it was designed for, or within the specifications of that car.
Yeah. That's really cool. Because what I'm picking up is the suspension is the balance of the car, the stance, how well it is situated to the ground, right? And I hear people these days refer to a lot about grounding. Like I want to be grounded. And so the suspension is the mechanism that allows the car to be grounded. And in a little while, I want to talk to you about what keeps your suspension set in life. You know, the part of the show that I enjoy the most is getting to know the driver. Like we know the car now, but getting to know you is also a part of the honor of doing the show. So tell me a little bit about, you know, you. What makes you tick? What makes you you?
Well, that's a really good question. I think what makes me me is being honest with yourself. As you go through life, you have to be honest with yourself. And when you're honest with yourself, you become to know who you are. And when you know who you are, your compass in life becomes very clear.
You know, from a military background, I've heard it said, know thyself, right? That's Sun Tzu, Art of War.
Exactly.
Good book. Pick it up sometime.
I've read it.
Yeah?
Yes.
So there is a lot in self-awareness. So I think part of that journey is recognizing the both good and the bad. And so what freedoms have you walked into understanding, you know, how you're constructed, or maybe the things that you need to work on?
Well, you can't change the direction that you're going in life without being honest with yourself.
Okay.
Right? If you're not honest with yourself about your faults, your mistakes, you're never going to correct them. So if you lie to yourself, and that's not my fault, or you make excuses for, what you've done, you're never going to change. So for me, it's always been honest with yourself. So at night, when you close your eyes and you're lying down, you got to be honest with yourself. And then the second philosophy for me is, I'd written this down, and I'm going to use a business terminology. I'm in sales, so sales, it's about commission, right? Okay. And I learned early on that if you focus on money, if you focus on commission, it's very difficult to achieve that. And when I was younger in sales, I would always calculate my commission, and I would look at other guys, and they would be making more money than me, and I'd be like, they're no smarter than me. Why are they making more money? And what I found is I was focusing on the wrong thing. When I was writing that commission and I was thinking about the commission, I was focusing on me. And they turned it around. Commission is the byproduct of something done well. You need to find out what your something done well is, no matter what that is.
I like that.
So I turned around and said, commission is for me the something done well, focusing on what customers, doing the right thing by customers, focusing on them. What do they want to accomplish? They want to do, and things changed. Then I made more money. Take that in life. I want love. Well, that's focusing on me. Well, love is the byproduct of something done well. What are you gonna do well to get love, right? If you simply change the equation, you've now stopped focusing on you. Me. What do I want? That's my life focus, is if I want something, it becomes the reward of doing something well. And you'll find that when you focus on something else other than yourself and other than your needs, you'll get what you want, because you're not focusing on it. That's not what your end goal is. It took me probably in my 20s to learn that.
Now, did you coin that phrase? Commission is a byproduct of something done well?
I did.
That will write a book.
Probably.
It really will write a book. One book that comes to mind that really speaks to the essence of what it is you just said is the Bible. And so I wonder, where faith comes in to that equation for you, because let's be honest with ourselves. Living a selfish life is the American dream. And so we are steeped in me. iPhone, iPad. It's not you, Pad.
Yeah.
It's not you, phone. It's not you. It's all about me. And so breaking that cycle philosophically, spiritually, is a very difficult path. And for you to come into that and apply that to your life, I think is actually very profound. So I wonder, like, was the engineering, when you talk about the car, the engineering of that, was the engineering of that rooted in faith?
I think it evolved into that. Everybody's path to faith is different.
Absolutely.
Your relationship with God is different. It's unique to yourself. He speaks to you differently. The lessons are different for everybody.
It is tailor-made. I will say that.
Yes. Yeah. Because how he communicates is different to everybody. And so, yes, I think faith is important. And his lessons to me when I was younger was always business focused. Well, I was business focused. And so a lot of my lessons came from business and were focused on business. And so I learned a lot of lessons in business that I translated in life, like relationships. I always thought when I was younger, relationships should come easy. If they don't come easy, you step out of them. And then I had to say, well, what do you do to prepare for a business meeting? You prepare, you learn about your client, you understand what their needs are, you communicate with them. It's hard, it's difficult. You don't win every sale, but you work really hard. Well, Christ, that's the same in a relationship. All that, I started to do the same things in relationship, and guess what? Relationships got better. It's there's a lot of similarities with business and faith and cars and faith and how you approach things.
It's really all about relationships, right? And so I find that conversing about cars allows us to have, some centrality, some unity of interest, of purpose, and then understanding how your life is lived and what makes you then allows us to go to a higher level or deeper level, however you like to look at it, and understand what steers your wheel in life. And honestly, when things get a little topsy-turvy, when things start cracking and breaking, like, where do you go? Like, where do you set your suspension when things go poorly? Real question.
I look within. And try to find the answers within. And when I say within, it's conversations within myself, which I know my faith is. I say within. It's within my spirit, within my faith. I go to my quiet space. I go to my
reflective, meditative,
my cerebral space where I have the conversations in my head, and I have those mindful, thoughtful conversations within myself. And I know that the conversations that I'm having, they're not mine. They are mine. But I'm being. My faith is helping me work through how I get through those times. Does that make sense?
I think what I'm hearing you say is they're actually conversations with God.
They probably are.
Yeah?
Yes.
And it's as much as talking as it is listening.
It is.
Right? So the revelations that you receive aren't your revelations, they're given to you.
Yeah, because my relationship with God is I no longer ask for things. I'm grateful. And I have opened myself to His plan. When I say His plan, I'm open to His direction, His plan. I don't know what His plan is, but I trust and believe in it.
Gotcha. Okay. You talk about God's plan and not knowing it, but accepting it. I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up. It's like, well, how do I know what He wants me to do? But how do you know what the manufacturer's specification and requirements call for unless you read the manual, unless you're familiarizing yourself with the manufacturer. And so the only way to get there is really to develop a relationship with God so that he can let you know.
You know, the mysteries of life can be wonderful and can be so rewarding. I used to want to know what tomorrow was going to hold. And I have been blessed and surprised and happy at where my life has gone. So I trust in it. I don't need to know. Right? But I think that's as you get older. You know, when I was younger, I shouldn't say that. When I was younger, you always have the optimism of tomorrow. What does tomorrow going to bring? You have the youth and optimism that tomorrow is going to be better, and you're going to have this and you're going to have that. So I think I've always had that. But I just through difficult times, through hard times, I just have always had this belief that my path is going to be good.
That, my friend, is scriptural, right?
It's very scriptural.
It says that that the steps of a righteous man are ordered by the Lord. And it also says in the book of Romans that all things work for the good for them that are called to his purpose and love him. And so it's the mysteries of being called to his purpose that I think trips up a lot of people. It's just like, well, I'm just walking every day and my steps are being ordered, and so I'm doing what it is he wants me to do. However, the other side of the coin is, suppose there's more for you to do than just live a daily life.
My grandmother in a nursing home. I grew up in a nursing home. And I was very compassionate to older people. I would sit down and I would talk to them. Art McKenzie was a World War II veteran. And, I would talk to him. And so I think I always grew up as a compassionate person. I have compassion for elderly people. I have compassion for children. I have, I have patience. And you touch people. Like when I was younger, Mackenzie was sick. My grandmother used to take some of the patients out. We get ice cream. And I had my ice cream cone, and I said to my grandmother, I want to save this for Ed. He's sick, and it was melting. And she says, no, you can't. It's going to melt. Just eat it, Terry. Well, she told him that story, and when he passed away, he gave me his wedding ring. He remembered that.
Well,
you don't know whose life you're going to touch. And you say God's gift, and I'm a little kid at 6 years old and sitting and talking to him, like he remembered that. I touched, you touch people's lives.
Yeah. I think that's the beauty of life itself, is being able to touch another's. And isn't it cool that we get to do that on the show, right? It's about cars, but it's about people too, right?
This hobby for me is about the people that I meet. We go to Pontiac Nationals,
and we meet some really cool people.
My wife does too, and I think she's in it for the people. But we have friends, and it's social media. Met more people in the Pontiac Nationals through the sport of drag racing and the Pontiacs. It's about people.
Yeah.
The cars are just the vehicle by which we're meeting other people, making connections, and enjoying our life.
So, what would you leave the audience with? What is there something that you can upshift on in the whole calculus of life and cars and faith? Like, what is it that you can do that you can just take it up a notch?
I would just say, be true to yourself, be kind to other people. And keep the faith.
There you heard it, people. Be true to yourself, to your faith, and to people. Be compassionate. Live well out there, people. Remember, commissions are a derivative of something done well. Do it well.